This is QTV News and I am Jenna Busanko. Coming up, there appears to be a new understanding between associations representing artists and the National Center for Arts and Culture. Rice cultivators in Lamin Wayeeto rice fields call for assistance in the fight against parasitic leeches that have infested their waters, making farming terribly tormenting for them. Gambia's beach volleyball team were rightly welcomed home as heroes as they returned from the African Games in Rabat after winning the gold medal in the competition. Those are our top stories, and now the news in detail. Stay with us. The National Center for Arts and Culture has conducted a press briefing on the outcome of the recent Artists Associations Conference. Executive members of each association were introduced and the presidents were handed endorsement letters by the National Center for Arts and Culture. Lamin Wayeeto was at the event and he now reports.
The Artists Associations of the Gambia have chosen new interim executive members who will be working with the National Center for Arts and Culture in carrying out their leadership functions. After holding congresses as demanded of them, they met top officials of the National Center for Arts and Culture to discuss matters relating their terms of reference. Sheikh Omar Jallo, the Director of Literature, Performing and Fine Arts, expressed their endorsement and readiness to work with the new executive, chosen by members of their respective associations.
We will be working with you hand in glove, inshallah, to implement your mandate. And by the time we finish this, we will expect all the presidents or chairpersons will give and make their pleas what they expect from us as government, so that we will also liaise with the authorities or our senior authorities who are in place to appeal on your behalf.
Such meetings between executive members of the Artists Association with top officials of the National Center for Arts and Culture have been a rarity, according to the Acting Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture. We won't stop from this meeting. What I will want us to do next is to meet with our minister. And the one thing I will want us to raise in our meeting with him is our need for support through subvention. Hence, we have now held Congress as the ministry demanded. The artists' associations can all be found in the Copyright Act of the Gambia. So government support for the art industry to carry out our functions is needed. He put this down to long-term frustrations of some of the artists' associations with the frequent calls for meetings from the NCAC. He thanked those who have always been with them on the journey to where they have reached today. The director also added that no one outside of the art industry will solve their needs. Hassan also believes that Gambian artists have also had the desire to work, but executive members of the Arts Association have been financially constrained to effectively carry out their mandate. He reassured all of his institutions' support to the new executive.
Any of you or your members, if you have a bona fide invitation to perform, you come to Sheikh Omar on time. He will go with you to the ministry, from there to Foreign Affairs, and we will help you with a note verbal, just as we get. Okay? This is why the Super Eagles were able to go. Sheikh Omar did all the process with them. He took them up to the Norwegian embassy in Dakar, and they all got their visas.
From the press briefing, it was revealed that 52 Gambian artists have been granted European visas for service export performance, thanks to the efforts of the NCAC and the Economic Partnership Agreement between ECOWAS and the EU. The Gambia is not yet a signatory to the protocol, but European countries' hospitality to Gambian artists over this summer is described as a commitment to the agreement ECOWAS has with the EU. Lamin Wayeeto for QTV News.
The Gambia Press Union, in partnership with the National Endowment for Democracy, on Friday launched a $42,000 grant for a one-year project to build a national consensus on access to information and freedom of expression. Our Babu Kursi attended the launching and he files in this report.
The project, a $42,000 grant from the National Endowment for Democracy, seeks to strengthen the knowledge and expertise of a wide range of local actors on issues of media freedom, freedom of expression, and freedom of information. The project also establishes a consultative process between the government and civil society towards the enactment of freedom of information law and the constitutional protection of media and freedom of expression rights. Speaking at the gathering held at the local hotel, Madi Jobate, Freedom of Information Coalition representative, said freedom of information is vital in every democratic dispensation.
Whatever is in the hands of the state is ours, whether it's information or resources, and whatever they do, it is for our welfare. So when you understand it from that point of view, therefore, citizens have a right to know what the state knows, to know what the state have. Certainly, when we say these things, we are not disregarding confidential information, personal information, right to privacy, and other information that at a particular time and for very obvious reasons, the state may not necessarily disclose this information to the public because they border on national security and other things. So we recognize all of that. But beyond and above that, citizens have a right to go to NAWEC to get information, to understand how a public institution like NAWEC or ports or GAMTEL or the Ministry of Education functions, operates, what is going right or not going right. And when we have such information, when we have the ability to get such information, it is when we can therefore hold our government accountable.
One of the strongest partners to the Gambia Press Union is the U.S. Embassy in Banjul, whose ambassador Richard Paschal hailed the strides taken by the GPU executive in engaging government and partners to make the work of journalists smoother.
The Gambia is a better place and has a brighter future because of its press corps. I mentioned earlier when I arrived that I am so impressed with the vibrancy and the energy that is in the public press and in the public media today. I'm so impressed when I talk to average individual Gambians on the street, in restaurants, in the grocery stores, in the markets, how critical they view that access to the reporting of the media and access to information. And as you have all said, the importance of freedom of information and access to information. And again, I will leave it to Dr. Carroll to speak of important principles behind when such some information must be restricted. But that access to information is something they crave. So I applaud this effort, I applaud this project.
The ECOWAS Special Advisor to the Gambia, Mr. Cloyd Kondo, described the project as a smart and timely one.
I found the two fundamental objectives to be very smart. SMART is an acronym meaning specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. First and foremost, to promote a national consensus on issues of freedom and information, and then secondly, to inform and engage partners, national actors, and stakeholders on the campaign for broad legal and constitutional guarantees for issues of media freedoms, freedom of expression, and freedom of information. This demonstrates the professionalism of those who articulated the proposal that has yielded the desired impact of bringing relevant stakeholders together to discuss these enablers of sustainable development.
The 12-month project seeks to go a long way towards engaging and persuading government to enact laws that will protect the media in freely executing their work. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
400 pilgrims arrived back in the Gambia on Friday after the completion of the Hajj, the fifth pillar of Islam. Mamjara A. Sise tells us more.
After the symbolic stoning of the devil Shaitan, marking the final days of Hajj, male pilgrims commemorated Eid by shaving their hair and the women trimmed theirs to signify a spiritual. At its conclusion, the pilgrims removed the white clothes worn during the Hajj and returned to their usual attire. This represents the completion of the Hajj, which is obligatory to all Muslims to undertake who are able to physically and financially. After a successful completion of this year's Hajj, 400 plus pilgrims arrived in the Gambia on Friday. having fulfilled Allah's command, approved by Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Tombang Sedikan, one of the pilgrims, thanked Allah for making this successful. He further thanked the Hajj guides and prayed for the blessing and protection of all Gambians. Mariama Jobate, a pilgrim, expressed her gratitude to Tivawan Travel for the support and assistance given to them during the Hajj, further saying that everything that was promised was fulfilled, especially when it comes to settlement, food, and other basic amenities. The 5-day Hajj is one of the largest religious gatherings in the world. The rites marked the beginning of Eid al-Adha, the feast of sacrifice. Reporting for QTV News, I am Mamjara Isise.
We will take a short commercial break. When we return, the news continues.
It's raining and you don't have credit? Just Ifan Kanta it. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
It's the new and improved Sunyicare, the Sunyicare brand you know with the new look you love.
Established in 1988, Sunyicare is the name you trust for all your high-quality home products. Now, with the new and beautifully renovated showroom at Gimpex, you can shop to your heart's content and browse through an excellent collection of products in a cool, fresh showroom with a classic modern design and feel.
Shop for your high-quality Tramontina cookware, hand and garden tools, as well as beautiful and durable souvenir paints, all sourced from Brazil, the best in the world.
For more information, call us on 4375003 or visit our showroom at Gimpex Road.
Sunyicare, because you value your home.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Rice cultivators in Lamin Wayeeto rice fields call for assistance in the fight against parasitic leeches that have infested their waters, making farming terribly tormenting for them. Aisa Jan has the rest of that story.
Leeches are parasitic or predatory worms that normally inhabit waters. To survive, they stick to the body of animals and humans, making small cuts on their skins with their mouth and then suck the blood. In Lamin Wayeeto rice fields, the majority of the cultivators are women. They grow vegetables, fruits and rice to provide food for their families and pay their children's school fees and other expenses. However, in the waters of their farms lurk parasitic worms called leeches, waiting to feast on their blood. Rose Jeju, a farmer at Lamin Wayeeto rice field, speaks about the problem.
When
we are attacked, we use mentholator or shea butter to soothe the bite. Most times the bleeding doesn't stop. It can continue overnight, but in the morning we have to get in the waters again.
Leeches are major pests to farmers in rice paddies. Even in muddy waters, these aggressive predators can still track farmers through body heat, secretions like oil, or even by shadows and disturbances in the waters. Rose says that this issue has been going on for a long time now and further explains their coping mechanisms.
Most of us are scared of the waters, but what to do? Where else can we work? We buy socks to protect our feet, but after 2 to 3 days, the socks tear. We cannot sustain this because socks are expensive.
Banjo Mane says most women here have had numerous infections on their feet and hands, perhaps as a result of leech bites. However, due to a lack of funds for medical care, they only use local and basic medicines for treatment. Marinjai speaks about other problems hindering their work apart from leeches.
Before, we used to harvest at least 10 pounds of crops. Now, if we have 2, we are in luck. Our crops are infected and dying, so we make no profits at the market. We are desperate for help.
In terms of assistance, these hardworking women say that proper gardening boots and fumigation against blood-sucking leeches, pesticides, fertilizers and chemicals would be a dream come true for them. Aisha Jain for QTV News.
Gambia's beach volleyball team were rightly welcomed home as heroes as they returned from the African Games in Rabat after winning the gold medal in the competition. Mamadou Gajaga was among those at the airport on Friday morning, and this is his report.
A cheering crowd awaits the heroes as they arrive after a historic sporting success for the small West African country. Among them are volleyball fans, former teammates and dignitaries. The fanfare began as soon as they left the arrival hall of the Banjul International Airport. They showed how it felt to be continental champions. If persistence can win you glory in any sport, then Pa Babukar Barrow deserved winning a title as the coach who guided the beach volleyball team to their success. Despite the little resources and the challenge of poor infrastructure, he hasn't looked for any excuses. The female team, comprised of Abi Kujabi and Fatoumata Cissé, they may not have achieved what their male compatriots did, but they had, in a way, motivated their colleagues and said they are inspired to do better in future competitions. One of the biggest challenges hindering the progress of Gambian sports is the poor infrastructure. Will this sporting success trigger action from the authorities to improve the sports infrastructure in the country? Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Well, congratulations to the Gambian team. Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main headlines. The National Center for Arts and Culture has conducted a press briefing on the outcome of the recent Artists Associations Conference. Executive members of each association were introduced and the presidents were handed endorsement letters by the National Center for Arts and Culture. The Gambia Press Union, in partnership with the National Endowment for Democracy, on Friday launched a $42,000 grant for a one-year project to build a national consensus on access to information and freedom of expression. Rice cultivators in Lamin Wayeeto rice fields call for assistance in the fight against parasitic leeches that have infested their waters, making farming terribly tormenting for them. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us at 10 for another bulletin, and thank you for watching.